Boundaries are something really, really tricky. And I know for a long time I used to just teach basically how to do it and try to break down steps for myself and for others. But what I didn't realize for myself and for others is that when you're in some sort of trigger or your body knows a history of boundaries not being received well, you have a lot of internal protectors. So one of the things when you're working through boundaries is to see if you are even thinking about setting a boundary. Like if you were to think of an example right now of something that you feel like you need to say no to or set some sort of boundary with, you can think of one. As you think of delivering that boundary, what happens inside your body? If you start to have tension or kind of jittery energy, or you might slip into the fawn or the pleaser or something like that, it's good to pay attention to just see what's your body doing, because there's a story there. So it's like Pavlov's dogs back in old experiment where they used to ring bells and then give dogs meat, and the dogs started salivating not just when they saw the meat but when they saw the bell, because there's a learned sequence that was happening. Your body's had the same. You've been trained your entire life for boundaries, whether they're safe to set or whether they are unsafe. So explore that, and then when you start to set them, you don't want to start lifting the 100-pound weights before the 1-pounders. So you want to try to set the boundaries with smaller topics and with more trustworthy people. And then eventually you can work up to the people that you know are going to have big reactions. So if you know you're going to be met with, and even if you don't consciously realize it, just see if you can break it down. Because if you innately feel that you're going to be met with anger, with punishment, with guilt, with some sort of manipulative fear, or something like that, then your body's going to have a reaction, and you almost have these protectors trying to keep you from setting those boundaries. So an analogy for boundaries that I like to use is about farm fences. So if you were to think of, having a herd of cattle or a herd of horses, if you didn't have a fence, that's a problem, right? It's not safe for the animals. It's not safe for anybody. So you want to have a fence. On farms, it's common to have an electric shock fence, and it definitely keeps the animals in. But when you're a person, if somebody tries to, poke you, so to speak, if you have this electric shock fence reaction, or you almost feel like that fight mode of electric shock comes to reinforce the boundary, then just know you're giving boundaries from a triggered place. So oftentimes, if you felt like boundaries haven't been respected in the past, what your body's doing is pulling from all of those things and then using a fight mode to try to reinforce the boundary. So once you work through whatever's being triggered, then your boundaries are more like a sturdy farm post. And people can innately tell, just like a farm post, the second that you put your hands on it and push, pull, try to move it, you can usually tell right away, I'm not going to be able to move this thing with just myself. And when you give boundaries from that place, so people can tell it's not that there's no boundary, but they can tell I can't talk you out of it. I can't push you out of it. I can't manipulate you out of it, because there's just something that you're in your true self where you're calm, compassionate, but there's a firmness about not like there's this just internal state of I will not be moved. And that's an internal thing. You can't rely on external people to always respect your boundaries. You have to know on the inside, it's good and it's okay that I'm setting this. And if you don't have that belief, then people are going to be able to hook you, and you're going to have more of the electric shock, or you're going to like totally lose your fence, or they can just break it down pretty easily. So when you think of that, see if you can be that kind of sturdy farm post, and what does your heart need, and what maybe triggers do you need to work through that so you can deliver something from that state. So reactive boundaries on any level, people can just kind of tell that you're not going to actually hold it, even if it's really, really big anger. So just know, how do you get to the spot that you don't need anger to reinforce your boundary, but that you can hold it up without that. So see if you can be that sturdy farm post. And I hope that's a helpful visual for you.